Hey everybody, so we are out here in my shop at the scroll saw, and what we're going to do today is we are going to take this cross right here. This is on a 3/4 inch piece of MDF, and which is MDF is just a compressed fiberboard, and we are going to cut it out. Then we are going to do, once we have the outline cut out, I don't know if y'all can see that very well. Sorry about the light. I switched out the bulbs in the light here in my shop, and apparently it's the entire light system that's out. So I'm gonna have to go tomorrow and buy a new light system. But I've got my spotlight here that I use whenever I'm scrolling. I normally turn off the other lights anyways. And so we're gonna make it work today. But once we get this cut out, we are gonna do just kind of we're gonna draw it on there, just so we have a line, but it's gonna kind of be a freehand, and we're gonna split this cross in half. And then we are going to do a Dutch pour. One side's going to be black, one side's going to be white, and then we're going to push them over on each other. I actually made one of these about 1.5 years ago, and it's hanging in my father-in-law's office at the church. So we are going to go ahead and do another one because it was extremely popular at the church. And so we are going to see what we can get. Kitty Toe, buddy, where are you going? I have Kitty Toe below me trying to crawl in here. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to get the camera reset to where y'all can see what I'm scrolling. I've got my safety goggles and my mask. If you do decide to get into scrolling or woodwork and all that, especially when you're working with MDF, always wear your mask. It's extremely, extremely important. There are a lot of chemicals in MDF, and they are not good to breathe in. So, and then of course, anytime you're working with wood and power tools, always make sure you have your safety goggles. So we are going to go ahead and get set up and get started on the scroll saw. All right, so we're here at the scroll saw. I'm going to get this as close as I can to the action here, but still might leave myself enough room to be able to rotate my piece. Set up right now, I do have it's a number 3 ultra reverse blade. Ultra reverse means that the teeth are going in both directions. They're going up and they're going down. Pull my hair up so it's not in the way. All right, let's get scrolling. Now that we got that piece done, I'm going to grab a pencil and we are just going to kind of draw a line down the middle for our separation. Oh, it's dark in here. I think I have a pencil in here. There's one. Alright. So we are just going to do this. One of the reasons I like to do it freehand is because it's never ever going to be the same. So every single one of these crosses, whether I do identical patterns or whatever, this is never going to be the same. The Dutch pour is never going to be the cut is never going to be the same because it's all freehand. All right, that'll work. So that's going to be our line. I don't know if y'all can see that. So I just draw the line, So I've got the line on here. Sorry it's so dark. I've been trying to get this done before the sun went down, but... Okay, so we're going to do the last cut. Okay, so now that we have our cross done, as you can see, I really like to go, once I get it on there, I just kind of let the blade do its walking. Our line went to here, but when I got about right here, I decided that I really wanted the curve to end down here because this one started over here and I didn't want it to be lopsided. So that is our base piece. So now we still need to sand it and get it routed. So we are going to go ahead and go over to my workbench so we can sand and route this down. All right, so we are out here at my workbench, and I'm trying to get all this done before the sun goes down. I have the blade changed out on my router bit. I'm just going to do a nice rollover blade. It is plugged in, so I'm not going to put my finger near the blade. It's just going to be a nice rounded edge blade. I'm going to drop it down just slightly because I do not want a kerf in there or a line. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of wood. All right, so because I just put the blade in there, I'm going to test it out. So a couple things I wanted to test is I want to make sure that when I put, let me unplug this real quick. Whenever I put the piece of wood on there, that this isn't going all the way to the bottom. And where you can, I don't know if you can see that, it is unplugged. You can see that little line. Kitty toe, please stop, buddy. That will actually make a dig in like ledge, and we don't want that. So I want to make sure that's below, and we're not going to hit it. But we're going to use this piece as a test piece of wood. So plug it back in. All right. So we're going to turn it on. So that actually did not give me the rollover edge that I want. I might have to use a little deeper bit. We're going to raise this up just a little bit and do another test. Alright, so that's the edge that I was looking for, nice and rounded. So we are going to go ahead and stay with that setting, and we are going to get those crosses routed out. everything routed down, I'm just going to grab the sander and just do a nice light coat of sanding on it. If we tried to paint it the way it is now, it would look fuzzy. So MDF, before you paint it, you do have to sand it down and get a really nice smooth finish. So I'm going to go grab the sander and do that piece real quick. All right, I am back. I've got my circular sander here. And let me see. Because this wood isn't really rough, we can get away with just using 220. 120 or lower. So the lower the number, the tougher the grit and the grain. The higher the number, the finer the grit. So we are going to work on with 220. 120 and 220 are going to be your standard grits for most wood and MDF. So because we are sanding, I'll put my mask back on, and so a nice 220 will be fine for this. Okay, so they are all done. I'm going to get them wiped down and cleaned up, and then I will meet y'all in the painting studio. See you soon. Good morning and welcome back. So this is the next day. I did paint this cross last night, and it was an unmitigated disaster. My paints were way too thin, and it was just cells galore, which is not what I was looking for. Now, looking back on it, it probably would have been fine. It did turn out pretty, but it wasn't what I was looking for, so I scraped the whole thing and let it dry overnight. One of the great things about working with MDF is that it cleans really well. So I was able to just take a rag and I literally just wiped all of the paint off and then let it dry. Now we have another nice surface and we can just paint right over this. So it's one of the great things about working with MDF, which I'm going to start doing more again. I'm actually really looking forward to scrolling more and just bringing you all kinds of ideas that have been in my head forever that we are going to build together. So, but we need to finish this one first. I have my paints mixed. Our paints are the Artist Loft Floetrol White and the Artist Loft Floetrol Black. It is 4 ounces of, well, the black and the white I mixed different amounts. The black is 4 ounces of black and 1.7 ounces of water. And the white is about, I think it was like 3.2 ounces of paint and about 1.3 ounces of water. Black, so what we're going to do is we are going to flood each one separately, and then we're going to put them together and then do our Dutch pour. So I'm going to slide this over a little bit. So as we're flooding, we're not going to hit each other's. Okay. Okay, so we are, all right, so we are going to flood. And I'm going to put a little bit off to the side so I don't accidentally use it all. Like I always do, which I'll try and remember to do. Okay. Now we are going to push these back together. This is our more powerful blower, so the lowest setting. It'll turn on. And we're just going to try and use an angle bottom to get a little bit more movement. Not exactly what I was looking for, but we're going to pull these apart. It's not as flowy as I wanted. I think this is a little bit of a mess down here, but we will see how it dries. And then once it dries, we will come back and put it all together. Another great thing about working with MDF is it dries super, super fast. So this will actually be dry by tomorrow morning. So we'll be able to kind of put it together and see what it's going to look like. And yeah, that's it. So once this all dries, I will see y'all soon. Good morning, everybody. We are back. The cross is all dried. And so the next step is we are going to seal it all together with resin. We are going to seal it just as one piece, but we're going to try and keep this little dip in here. So once we get the resin on, we're going to kind of mess with that, that right there. So we are going to go ahead and get some gloves on. I always wear gloves when I mess with resin. So we are using, this is the KS resin liquidy split epoxy resin. It is has a 15-minute working time, but it is dry to the touch, ready to move, all of that kind of stuff in like 3 to 4 hours. Actually less, but really to be able to mess with it, it's about 3 to 4 hours. It is a good resin to use for this kind of thing. It is not my favorite resin to use with tumblers. I have found that with this resin, it chips easily. So when you go to clean your tumblers and your rims of your tumblers, I found that this resin chips a lot easier up on the surface than like my Envirotex resin. I have never had a problem with Envirotex resin chipping, but I do with this one. It's a good one you can use as a base. So if you're trying to seal in glitter or something like that and you need some quick working time, then yeah, this is a great one to use. But as a final top coat, it's honestly not my favorite to use for that. But it's great for projects like this when you want to get it done. Quick hardening time, and yeah. So it is a 1-to-1 resin. I always use these little measuring, these little cups that have the ridges on there. We are going to probably just go up to the first lower ridge, and that'll be plenty of epoxy for us. We're going to go ahead and get these mixed up. It's like taffy right now. It is so thick. I might have to hit these with a blow dryer to warm them up. I should have waited until the resin was a little more warmed up, but that's all right. This is probably way more resin than we actually needed. All right, that gives us a lot more movement. So what I was doing is I was just hitting the outside of the cup with the blow dryer on high heat. It's not going to melt the cup. It's not going to hurt the resin. It's just going to soften up the resin a little bit, warm it up so we can get a good mixture. Another way, if your resin is too cold that you can do it, is actually just put some warm water in your sink or something like that, and then just lay your big bottles in there, and that'll also warm them up so that they mix easier. I find cold resin is easier to manipulate. Warm resin, of course, is easier to mix. A lot easier to mix when it's warm. So when you're mixing your resin, just make sure you're scraping your sides and scraping the bottom of your cup. We are going to do the 2-cup method. So once I get a good mix in this one, we're going to put it in the other cup to make sure we can get everything that's on the bottom up to the top. So we're going to go ahead and switch cups real quick and bring all that resin that was sitting at the bottom to the very top. It's one of the main reasons that you do the 2-cup method. And the pouring also helps mix it. All right. We're going to finish mixing up. We are going to hit this with the torch, so I'm not too worried about all of the bubbles in there, because we're just going to pop those with the torch once we put them on. Looks like we've got a good mixture. It's nice and clear, except for the bubbles makes it cloudy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this on, and then we are going to kind of push it around and with our gloves. And that's also going to help mix as well. Right now I'm not worrying about the sides. I want to make sure the top is coated first, and then once that is done, then we will work on the sides. If you're doing this, make sure your cross is fully pushed together, and the resin is actually what's going to help hold the cross together once it's all done. The resin is going to bind it back to one piece. Now we are going to make sure our sides are done, so we're going to take the resin, we're going to go around the edge. This MDF is going to soak up this resin on the sides. So you want to make sure you get a good coat on the sides. And I basically run my hands along till it's just nice and smooth and I don't feel any roughness whatsoever. That means you've got a really good coat on there. Make sure you get in there and get your corners. And you will probably have to do some sanding. You are going to have some drippage, especially because this stuff dries so fast. You will probably have to sand, and I just use my little Dremel for that with my little sanding attachment to sand down any bumps. I'm excited. My new camera arm. I ordered another one so I can have one in the scroll saw in my shop, so we can have it above the scroll saw, so it's easier for y'all to see what's going on the scroll saw than the way it was in this video. So that way we can have some directly on top looking down like you are now, but on the scroll saw, so you can really see what's going on there. So I'm excited to work on that. I've got so many ideas of what I want to build, and my poor husband, I just keep talking about all the stuff I want to do, and he just sits there and smiles and nods and does that thing that husbands are supposed to do. And so, all right, now that I've got that done, I'm going to run my finger along the bottom and kind of go ahead and smooth out any drips that are currently there. We are going to get some more during the drying process, but we can go ahead and start working on them. All right. Okay. Now another thing, so right here, oh, actually that's the paint itself. Another thing, once you get it all done, go ahead and get down even, especially if you have a light in front of you. Get down even with your piece, and you're going to be able to see any holes or dimples that you have from where resin didn't hit. So we don't have a whole lot left. I'm just going to go ahead and just use the rest of it. If I can get it to come out, there it goes. I'm just going to sprinkle it all the way around. This is self-leveling, so you don't have to worry about doing that. Just make sure that whenever you're getting this set up, that your piece is level before you start resining it. So get down even with it. Make sure that your pieces are level so it'll hang flat against the wall. And then I'm just going to go and just do some circles. Now what this is doing is this is finishing. So if you have any resin that wasn't mixed, this is finishing that. This is mixing the resin the rest of the way. Going to get rid of any lines in your resin, any strings, all of that. All right. And once we do all that, I'm just going to run my finger down this crack, kind of pull out some of that resin. And what's going to happen is that resin is going to re-level right to that edge, so we should still have a separation in the resin once it cures. So I can get down even with it, and I see I have a nice trench in there for the resin. Now, once we hit it with the heat, or with the torch, and literally it's a torch because it's the only one I have in here right now, that's going to soften up the resin just a little bit, so we might have to do our trench again. So this is the torch we're using because my smaller ones are all in either the resin studio or in my office. We were just hitting it enough to be able to pop those bubbles and give us a nice glass-like surface. As you can see, I was holding the torch pretty far away, so the fire itself coming out was barely scraping the top. Very quick burst because you don't want to cook your resin and burn it. And see, and so we kind of lost our trench a little bit with softening it up. So we're going to give it a few minutes to harden back up, and then we're going to do the trench again. I'm just going to work on whatever drops we have here. And again, this one is only about a 15-minute working time, so you do have to work fairly quickly to make sure that you get everything before it starts hardening. And something dropped in it right there. So I didn't get it. There we go. These are little tweezers I use whenever it's some of my weeding tweezers. I just brought some in here because they're so good for getting little things out of your paintings and your resin. Alrighty, so we're going to do our trench again. Let's make sure this is still pushed together. Oh, we moved it. That's alright, that'll get some resin down in the center and just make it extra strong. Okay, Now we've got our trench. Let's get our trench back. Okay, everything looks good. We are going to leave it just like this, and because we used the quick set resin, we will be able to finish this video up today and get this project completed. So I'll see y'all soon. Alright, we are back. It is a couple hours later. It is not fully cured yet, so I mean it's cured enough to be able to touch it, but putting any pressure on it is going to give you like fingerprints and that kind of stuff, so we're not going to move it around too much, but I did want y'all to see the finished product. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. In the description is going to be the paint colors used and the mixture ratios. Also in the description, links to my Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all of that kind of stuff. Go check out my paint pouring Facebook group, Paint Pouring for Christ, where like-minded individuals can come together and just celebrate and love on God together. This one will go up on my website, guidedbyfaithdesigns.net, once it is fully completed. I will end up sanding down the back, putting on a hanger, and probably painting the back a solid color. And then I'll be putting it on my website for sale, so go ahead and look for the link down in the description if that interests you. And that's it. So I look forward to our next build together. I'm really glad to be working back on the scroll saw, and I can't wait to see what we build together next. So I will see y'all soon, and as always, God bless.